はい。というわけで準備できましたというところで、今回も始めていきましょう。スタンリーパラブルやっていきたいと思いますが、っていうかその前に自己紹介してない。はい、どうも皆さんこんにちは、せいやさんです。
再び登場、後輩です。
ということでまた2人でやっていきたいと思います。で、今回は僕はただ誘導するだけ、後輩くんにこのゲームをプレイしてもらおうと思っております。
やったぜ。
はい、というわけで、このゲームは説明するよりもやってみてもらう方が分かりやすいと思うので、とりあえずゲームを始めてもらいましょうかね。じゃあゲームを始めるでスタートしてください。
はーい。
今回はコントローラーでやらせてもらうんですけども、
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
これ飛ばしていいんですか？
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, of every month, of every
社畜ってやつですね。
and although others might have considered it
社
so
畜にしたら
routine,
キーボー
Stanley
ドを指
relished
一本
every
押してる
moment
時
of
点
the
でバグって
orders
るけ
he
ど
made,
バグってま
as
す。
though he had been made exactly for this job.
楽しい。
And Stanley was happy.
幸せと
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
というわけで、そう
なるほど。私は427番君として頑張るってことですね。
そういうことになります。
なるほど。
というわけで、とりあえずは辺りを捜索してみましょう。
勝手に承知。
ね。
てってれてって
隣427。
おい、借金取りだ。開けろ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
弁護を
memo.
落としたのでしょう。じゃあ会議室に向かいます。
なるほどね。みんな会議室で集まってるわけだ。
今日会議がある人ってか。
あ
いけね
ちゃん会議がね、仕事では重要ですからね、ミーティングってね。
いや、この会社個室多すぎだろ。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左ね。会議。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
上司のオフィス。でもなんかやってた感もありますね、なんか。
何かやってたね。
こ
れ
れあれですね、このグラフはテスト勉強してねっていうやつに限ってしてる率を表してるやつですね。
ここ何の会社？逆に気になる。
あれか、空いた方に向かいってことか。
なるほどね。今調べた？もしかして。
そう。
今なんかカチャって言ったよ。
多分ここが閉まった音だと思いますよ。
閉まった音か。
はい。
なるほどなるほど。
閉まった。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
下に
office.
もなんかあったで。
マジか。
下にも行けるやん。
多分これこの声の指示に従っていった方がいいんじゃないですか、最初。
なるほど。
また叱られますよ、さっきのあれみたいな。
叱られる？誰に？
ゲームに。
どこにいるの？
これは上司のオフィスですか。なんかやたらなんか
でかいよな。
すごいおしゃれな感じですけど。
てかなんかすごい、いやそこはちょっと待って、偉そうすぎ。そんな上司。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
本当に誰もおらんよ。
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him?
いやいやいや。
What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
親
But
切
of course,
調べるん
Stanley
じゃないの
couldn't possibly have known this.
284 5
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
2足踏み入れましたと。どこに新しく通路が。何これ。え、どういうこと。なんかの秘密基地みたいな。下に降りる。はあ。はあ。下に降りる。お、ロード挟む。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
まあ社畜やから
え、
な。なんだろう。
何今の。
何が起きた今。まあ行こう。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
まっすぐに歩きました。まっすぐに歩きました。はい、何ですかそれ。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
いいんか、なんかそんなサクサク進んで大丈夫？え、ここで何かなんだ。
あ、これか。
はあ、
監視カメラ。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
なるほどね。すごいな。すごい量やな。
ここに私の画面があります。
どこ
427番です。
ああ、そうそうそう。
なんだこれ。
なんで
拾えないな。
なんだろう。
まあいいや。レッツゴー。テレテーテレテーテレテレテー
元気や
テレテレテーテレエレベーター。
エレベーター。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
まあ確かにな。ナレーターの言う通り。
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
なんだ
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
確かにな。
ここが動力室か。
じゃあやっちゃいますか。
アイドルライティングインプット。
どっち？
でも破壊しないといけないんでしょ、システムパワーをダウンにしないといけないんじゃないですか。
そうね。
うわー、壊しちゃったこの機械どうしよう。
じゃあ壊すことが目的やって。ええやん。合ってるやん。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
ああ。
Was it over?
何が？
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
気になってたんだけどさ、なんでここ扉開いてんのにさ、外光があるのになんでこっち側に光がほとんどないの？
確かにそういえばそう。なんか映画のスクリーンみたいこれ。
そうそうそう。
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
幸せでしたと。幸せな人生を歩めたね。はい。
おー、なるほど。これが一周終わったってことですね、今。
そういうことやね。
なるほど。で、いろんなルートを探して
行かなきゃいけないと。
なるほど。
まあなんとなくナレーターの喋り方的にそうかなって。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
隣のそこ行こうぜ、そこ。
開けられないんですよね。
開けられない。開けれるとこ。
会議室までは一緒なんですよ。で、左の曲がらない。
はあ、なるほど。じゃあ、ここね。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
はあ、なるほどね。これね、ラウンジね。ラウンジにも行かない。
いや、多分、そこは行くしかないんですよね。ああ、もう一本道ですもんね。
ああ、なるほどね。
何個か分岐点があるってことか。
なるほどね。
だからさっきの階段のところも上と下とあったわけ。
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
戻りました。コーラまだかな。コーラまだかな。
コーラドリンクス。コーラ高ない今の。
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ああ、仕事に戻りたくて左のドアに入ったと。ああ、左のドアに入った。左のドアを行かずにまっすぐ行く。大丈夫か？
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years
信
ago.
じられません。ああ、相当あれですね、後輩さん。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you
ちょっとね、なんか
all
ナレー
this
ションの言動がお
time.
かしくなってますね。
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten
なる
about.
ほどな。
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm
Divided.
not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
彼女のため？彼じゃなくて
This
彼
is
女。
it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into
こ
your
れ戻すの
life.
です。
She's been
なんかちょっ
waiting.
とメタルギアソリッド2の発狂大佐みたいになってきてますけど、
確かに。僕はあるけど。
うわまたこれ電気代滞納してるわ。
真っ暗やん。
That's her,
はい、も
Stanley.
しもし。
You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
電話に出て。
出れないわ。ボタンが押せないんだもん。
じゃあ、それは
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness.
もともと B
Stanley,
ボタンかけ
did
て
you
あ、
just
そうそう、
unplug
これがや
the
りたかったんですよ、
phone?
電話線で。
No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that?
ちゃんと
You
できました
actually
ね。
chose
このゲーム面白いです
incorrectly.
よ。
I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
電話線のコードを抜くっていうのどうかな
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
ご覧ください。
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read.
教育テレビ
Which
を
choice would
ご
you
覧く
make?
ださい。
Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Practice.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back.
ああ、なんか
You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
でもこっちってなってないですか？
どこ
このほら
あ
EXITがこっちになってる。
で
これはちょっと行かないといけないですね。
あ
他に選択肢がないみたいなんで。レッツゴ
ー。そこのシャッター開かないの？
開かなさそうです。
開かなさそうか。そこの扉？帰れるんじゃね？開かない。
ナレーションが始まるまで多分無理かも。
なるほど。
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
だとしたら相当めんどくさい。ワーニング。
ワーニング。
ジャンプできたりするのこれ？
いや、ジャンプボタンはなさそうです。しゃがみボタンしかないですね。
そこの隙間落ちるとかあんの？ないよね。
ギリギリいけないですね。
なるほどね。
じゃあこっちに行きましょうか。
いやもうある扉片っ端から開けていくパターンでもいいんじゃん。帰ってきちゃったよ。
帰ってきちゃいましたね。
なるほど。
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
これは本当にお説教される時の
やつ。
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左のドアに。
入っていく。
俺今気づいた。
なんですか？
扉が左右対称になってる。最初の時は左にしか両方とも開いてない。
確かにそうかも。
どうする？左の扉に入ってったっつってたけど。
コーラまだかな。コーラまだかな。
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
小窓の奥見てみ。バグってんでも。
バグってるね。
バグってるやん。
なんだこれ。開けろ開けろ。
なんだ。どこに行けってんだ。左じゃない。
しょうがない、左行きますね、皆様。
戻ってみようぜ。
でも閉まってないな。
閉まってないね。確かに。いろんなところちょっと探索してみるか。会議室。椅子がない。
I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
なんかこんなこと言ってるよ。こんなこと言ってるよ。バグってるバグってる。え、どうなった？バグってるバグってるバグってるバグってる。
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you. You're a child.
My
story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左側のドアに入っていきました。
ちょっと話が進まないので言う通りにします。
じゃあ、まあね。でもこいつのナレーターの通り
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
閉じられてるやん。
これ下の階行けたっすよね。
間違い探しみたいになってるやん。もう一回下降りたら復活するとかは？
ないっすね。
ないんか。仕方ないな。
こっち行ってみましょ
う。はい。
あかんねえ。
ない。そこ右は？てか色変わってない？上司のオフィス。
マジ？本当に色変わってる。全然違いますね。
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
何か押せない？ 115。
開けごま。
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
だって。
カンパチ安いよ。
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
安いよ。
You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
押すことがないからわかんないよ。
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
言いたい放題や。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
なんだ。
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay?
スタンリー
Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
ジエンド
I need you to walk through the door.
ある意味だ
Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right?
あ
Stanley,
ら
this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward,
ちょ
please.
っとふざけすぎました
Do something? Anything? This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me?
あ、2013年に出た作品がベースなんですね。
そうそうそうそう
Okay.
こんななんかナレーターの指示に従ったり しなかったりってすごいやったことないんで新鮮なゲームですね。
実際そう言って指示されるっていうか仕事でもやっぱ指示されるからみんなその通りに動いてるけどなんだろう自分で考えるっていうことを選択するっていうのがどれだけ重要かっていうのをなんか体現したようなゲームで
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
で
ちょっとなんかグッドエンディング的なの見たいですね。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
あれが本当にグッドなのか。
あれじゃないのか
Yet there was not a single person
あえ
here
てナレ
either.
ーターの指示より
Feeling
先
a
に
wave
もう
of
ゴールしてしまう
disbelief,
パターン
Stanley decided to go up to his bosses. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
上にルートへ行く
Stepping into his manager's
番号なん
office,
だっけ
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be?
あ、これ毎回
In
変わるんです
fact,
か。
this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845.
あ、
But of
2845
course,
か。
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
これ多分じゃあ聞く前にいけたっすね。
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
あーい
Amazing.
たいたいた
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
チャッチャッチャッチャッチャッチャッチャッチャッで
RTA 始まるよ。
タイムアタックみたいなはいはいはいはいすぐ行こうすぐ行こ
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
う
Control
あちょっと待って
Facility.
今なんか左になんか変なのちゃうああ閉じられたまあ仕方ない行こ
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with
Hi, hi, hi.
television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
うはいはいはいはい
え、これ本当にこういうなんていうんですか洗脳施設みたいなのだったってい
Now
うこ
the
となんですか。
monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
こうなってくるともうルートが一緒のような気もする
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
はあは
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible?
ここは
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly utterly blind to the world. But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
なんだ。
あ、ここはただのくぼみですね。
はあはあ。とりあえず電源オンにしてみる。なんだ5番？え、なんか押せた今。
なんかちょっとわかんないです。
電源オフじゃなくてオンにしてみよう。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then?
脱出をせん
Let's
とね。
say
はいはいはい。
2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
今あかんかったか。
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
4が2階にあったよね。
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's
グッドバイ
30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life?
どれだ
Or will you let it go
わ
peacefully?
かんね
Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
はい、というわけでやっていきましょ
ナレーさん死んじゃった
All of his co-workers were
う。
gone.
いやいやいや。
ナレーさん死んじゃったよ
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
いや
Perhaps
多
he
分
had
あれは
simply missed a memo.
夢なんだと思うよ。
次下行ってみます
下
はい
When Stanley came to a set of two
上
open
司
doors,
のオフ
he
ィスに
entered
行
the
かず
door on
に
his
下に行くと
left.
そういうことです
はあ。一旦帰ってくる
Yet there was not a single
誰もいま
person
せん
here
でした
either.
はい
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
お
But Stanley just couldn't do
86だ
it. He considered the possibility of
86
facing his
それ
boss, admitting he had left his post during work
これどうやって
hours.
止めたんですか？
He might be fired
お前
for
これ
that.
に乗ってきた
And in such a
あ、なるほどね。
competitive economy,
そこの手口なんだ。
why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished?
なる
His
ほど。
boss would think he was crazy.
彼だってもおかしい
And
と
then
思いますよ
something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
しまった
All of my
元か
co-workers
ら狂っ
blinking
てる
mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked
お前
down?
本当だ
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he
あ
went?
86だ
And for that matter,
Oh.
these rooms were starting to look pretty
覚えてた方がいいん
familiar.
ちゃうか？
Were they simply repeating?
ナンバープレート
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the
なんか
words
そ
for
っか
it.
同じとこ回ってねえ
I'm
か
dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid?
ああ、戻る戻
And
る
then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
ナレーさん
Now
は
the
誰なん
voice
だ
was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
ほう。あ、変わってねえな。変わってねえや。
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
なんで？
つまり
This is the story of a woman
ス
named
タンリーは存
Mariella.
在しない。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
ってことは、スタンリーは倒れて、そのまま放置されたってこ
そういうことですね。
と？ああ。
まあ、狂った人間はすぐ見たら分かるんですけど、何が
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
何か見落としがないか確認しながら行ってもいいんじゃん。はあ。なんだろうね。はあ。なんか押した？は
インプットレシーブ
あ。
受け取ってる。なるほど。
ほう。
パソコンの電源を切ったり画面を切り替えたりできるみたいですね。
あ、なるほどね。あ、じゃあ最初のスタートのやつも切っちゃう？
I hate Monday 私も大嫌いです
せやな。大概の人がそうじゃない。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
あ、なるほどね。ボタンがあるパソコンとボタンがないパソコン。
ここパソコンねえな。
鉛筆消すだけ。
鉛筆を消すだけってことか。
どんな仕事ある？
しまった。427号室閉められてしまった。
なんてことだ。自分の部屋にも入れねえって無能すぎんか。
無能。鼻炎。
これ
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左？右？
右パソコンとかありました？ないっすよね。
赤って。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
確かラウ
well.
ンジがそのまま。
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee
なんかラウン
lounge
ジでなんか
first,
ちょっと待っ
just
て
to
みたいな
admire
話があ
it.
ったんですよね。
Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous,
てか
gorgeous
自分
room.
の
Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
多分缶じゃないか。
ほらまだかな。
こんだけボタンあったら
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room.
そうなんですよ。これな
A
んか
room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
本当売り価値がある。
あるかこれ。ただいまの時刻は
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
子供おじさんです。引きこもりました。
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
あれそんなストレートな道のりだったっけ？
なんかそう言われてみればなんか微妙。あ、そう、左の部屋に入りましたってあるんですよね。左の部屋入りましょう。
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
下へ参ります。
さあ下には何があるのや。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's,
巨大ロボット
left.
どこにもねえだろ。
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
何？
ああ。開かない。
おのれー、このクソナレーションめこの俺のドアを閉めやがったな。
でも右
No, 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 not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh
あ
dear, would
の
you
ク
hold
ソ
on for
ガ
a
キ
minute,
ども
please?
め
めっちゃ探してる。めっちゃ探してる。ナレーターの
Let's
中に
see,
人を
we
探して
went
る。
down right, left,
右
down,
左下
left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
全く関係ない道やったね。大丈夫かこれ。
この車は巨大ロボット。
いやいや、まあ、うん、
これに乗れっていうの？
間違ってはないけど、
勝手だよなレタン。
乗れとは言うてないし。何なんだ。
お、ここに来た。
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
結局
自分のパソコンは特に効果ないですね。
なるほど。電話とかも使えなさそう。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
電話
memo.
なるんじゃん。でもそこに電話あったっけ？緑のやつ。
あ、緑のやつありましたね。
あったっけ？
はい。
そうか。あとなんかヒントじゃないけど何かあるかな。
とりあえずこのパソコン反応があるやつだけはちょっとやっていこうかなと思います。
オッケー。
電気代無駄だからね。
節電な。節電のためにテーブルの上に今乗った？
そうです。
なんで？
あれ？ちょっと待って、おかしいな。
どうした？
ここなんかインプットアウェイティングインプットがなった気がしたんですよね。
そうね、なってたね、そういうの。でも電源落としてたから。
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, Did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
ここがいい。
いや、開いてない開いてない。はあ。それ？
ここレディーはノット。ここはレディーはノットだ。
お、クリア。
Police, put your hands up! Hands up, up your head!
急に違うゲーム持ってくるやん。
さあ、レディーはノット始まりました。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
なるほど。やっぱり
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
節電は大事だからね。
節電大事ですよ。
消えてる消えてる。ああ OK。
これで
扉が
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
別の方向、別のルートがあるってこと？コーヒーなぜこぼしたんだろうな。
確かに。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it
この部
comes.
屋見たことないぞ。
確かに。びっくりした。なんかおるって思った。
角注意して言いましょう。
せやな。クリアリング大事やで。
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
扉がないぞ。
あれ？
味方もないぞ。あれ？
あら？
違うとこ行きそう。
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that
そうで
correct?
すね。
Do you remember, Stanley?
上なんか。
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
誰だおかしい。
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
解決はしてないよ
Oh,
ね。
no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to
あ
restart.
リスタートね。
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
ああ、親切だね。
じゃあ新設計でいきたいと思います。
親切だね。
あれ？
なんかまっすぐ、なんか。
じゃない。
あれ？
なんで？
あれでも最初まっすぐだったじゃん。
まっすぐだったですね。
どここれ？はい。
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
まとめてないよ。まとめてないよ。
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a
一旦自分の
bell?
部屋戻ったらどう？戻れない？
いや、サトシは戻ります。
ああ、スタートしてね。一旦戻ろう。はい。リセットして、進もう。これで
いや、おかしいんですよ。こっちは伸びてて、こっちは開けるんですよ、今度。
ああ、ほんまや。どういうこと？
あらららら。
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
あらららら。はい。というわけで、いかがでしたか？
いやー、これ面白いですね。だと全然話の全容が見えてこなかったんですけ
You
ど。
know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in... Well, I don't
8
know.
番出口
How
の
about
アッシュみ
this
たいなの
direction?
すごい面白かったです。また頑張りたいと思います。
はい。というわけでご視聴ありがとうございました。また見ていただければありがたいと思っております。それではまた。
バイバーイ。